Here in the swamp, as we know, yesterday, the Senate passed the One Big Beautiful Bill along. It was actually a tie, 50-50, and then Vice President J.D. Vance came in to break that tie, making it a 51-50 vote. So very, very slim majority there in the Senate. But the bill did still pass. Now, the concern today, it sort of lies in the fact that the bill doesn't really look very similar to when it left the House, meaning the Senate made radical changes to this bill, therefore making it now unrecognizable in contrast to what the bill was when it came out of the House. Obviously, when it left the House, it was passed in a very slim majority there as well. But I think the House was happy with how the bill was looking, with the exception of the artificial intelligence provision that was in that bill, unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years. Now, for some good news, that provision did get totally nixed from the bill when it came out of the Senate, so that is no longer in there as it heads back to the House. But the problem currently is that the main issue I think that House Republicans are facing now is that the bill actually still allows for illegal aliens to receive Medicaid benefits. Now, this was something that the White House was very vocal about. This was one of the main issues that they were excited to pass with this big, beautiful bill. However, the Senate made some concessions and various people came to an agreement. I guess it was actually the Senate parliamentarian who gutted two crucial border security measures. One provision was to defund sanctuary cities and another to ban Medicaid for non-citizens. Both of these were struck down, meaning that they remain in the bill. So as we know, the bill currently is going back to the House now since it did pass the Senate, but House Republicans are very, very upset about this. They are not happy about the amendments that were made to the bill. Another major issue is the massive spending. Ultimately, the bill is adding over $1 trillion to the deficit now as it comes out of the Senate. So that was not agreed upon by the House the first time around. So now House conservatives, fiscal conservatives who were opposed to this in the beginning are even more upset about this now because, like I said, it adds $1 trillion to the already massive $37 trillion national debt. So this is a big issue. Yesterday, I reported that it was looking as though the bill would pass through the House and make it back to the president's desk in time for the July 4th deadline. I'm actually now today not so sure that's actually going to be the case because I'm hearing here on the Hill that members of Congress are not happy with this. They're very upset about it, and they're actually going to have quite a few discussions about these issues that I just mentioned here, both the Medicaid for illegal aliens and the financial fiscal aspect of the bill. So it's my understanding that a number of these fiscal conservatives are set to meet or did meet already with the White House earlier this morning. Lots of conversations being had on this issue. It sounds like Speaker Johnson even admitted that he was upset with the amount of changes that happened while the bill was in the Senate, though he is still, echoing President Trump's sentiment to get this pushed across the finish line for July 4th. It sounds like Trump isn't really addressing at this point in time, at least, the changes that were made in the Senate. He seems to still be happy with it and is very eager for this to get completed by July 4th. So it's interesting to see how this is sort of evolved over a very short period of time, and that President Trump still seems eager to get it through and signed by Independence Day. So we will definitely see what happens there. I did also want to note that early this morning, Wednesday morning, the House Rules Committee advanced the measure, sending it to the floor for consideration. So this is all going to be deliberated upon now. Lots of deliberation happening. And we're also waiting for members of Congress to fly back into town because they were not here previously. Speaker Mike Johnson said he hoped a final vote on the bill would take place either today or tomorrow, but he said the weather is sort of a wild card. We don't know if everyone can get back into D.C. To make that vote happen. So I guess we are going to be waiting, and the ultimate vote will happen when when lawmakers and members of Congress can get back into Congress to vote on this. So I guess we're in sort of a waiting, holding pattern here, sort of stuck in limbo until we see some more progress. But like I said, many of those deliberations are set to take place over the next day or so, and then hopefully they can get to a place where everyone agrees and come to a vote, which would then push the bill along to the president's desk. So lots still needs to happen before the one big beautiful bill is officially signed into law. It'll certainly be an interesting road ahead until we get to that point. But for the time being, I know the House members of Congress are on the floor deliberating currently on this. I think we have more on that live for you. So we are going to switch over to live coverage of what is going on, the latest on the House floor. Let's take a listen to that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Allison Steinberg with Lindell TV.
As for his signature. Late last year, the American people rallied en masse behind the Republican vision for a renewed nation. A nation no longer blighted by the cataclysmic failures of the previous administration. A nation primed and ready to enter the golden age. One of the many strong reinforced byproducts of our Republican vision is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It is one of the most consequential pieces of legislation that any party has ever passed, and for good reason. The provisions interwoven in this legislation are monumental. They are what the American people voted for in November. Historic tax relief for working families, massive investments to secure our nation's borders, capturing generational savings, slashing waste, fraud, and abuse in government programs so that they may run more efficiently for those who truly need them. Mr. Speaker, I could opine at length about the wins that Republicans have secured in this bill, wins that we've been highlighting to the American people for months. Meanwhile, our Democrat colleagues have resorted to fear-mongering and wailing from their bully pulpits in the hopes of deceiving the American people. For months, we've heard Democrats claim that the sky was falling, that all hope is lost because H.R. 1 will bring about the end times, and a litany of other outlandish and absurd claims. They are so desperate to smear H.R. 1 and deny the American people the policies that the American people overwhelmingly voted for in November. But let's again focus on what this bill accomplishes. It yields the single greatest cut in wasteful government spending in congressional history by slashing far more than $1 trillion of bloat. It preserves the greatest battle-tested set of tax cuts for working families that our nation has ever seen or our economy has ever realized. It doubles down on the border priorities of the most successful enforcement efforts by a president in our nation's history. It realigns our economy in defense of American workers, American energy, American businesses, and American job creators to unleash the engines of our economy, raise the tide of our economic standards, and bring a new definition of American greatness to the world. Perhaps the reason why Democrats are so desperate to smear this legislation is because they are caught in their own self-inflicted malaise of denial. Perhaps they still can't accept that Americans chose Republicans to lead the nation instead of them. That said, Mr. Speaker, Republicans are not distracted by that fear-mongering and doomsaying of those who want H.R. 1 to fail. The facts are on our side, and we've been cutting through the noise by bringing those facts to the American people for months. So that the record is clear, a vote against this legislation is a vote to green light the largest tax increase in American history being levied against everyday men and women. Decimation of millions of jobs across America. Kneecap the capabilities and readiness of the nation's military. This is not fear-mongering like what our colleagues across the aisle have been engaging in. These are just facts. Mr. Speaker, the pathway forward is crystal clear. The House must pass this rule and pass the Senate amendment to H.R. 1 so that more wins can be delivered to the American people. The American people deserve to keep winning, and to deny them that opportunity is a flagrant disservice. This legislation is the embodiment of the America First agenda, and we would all do well to remember that. Failure at this critical juncture is not an option. This clock is ticking. The President and the American people are waiting. I reserve.
The balance of our time, gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the gentlewoman from North Carolina for yielding me the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this process, an abomination, legislative malpractice. Final text of this bill came out less than 24 hours ago. We met in committee an hour after it was posted, and now we're here considering a rule that only allows for 1 hour of debate. This bill is within the jurisdiction of 12 different committees. 1 hour is ridiculous. And every minute we're finding out new things that were snuck into the bill. A tax cut for whalers, and now we're learning about a gambling tax. Republican leadership and the White House are jamming this bill down our throats. And for what? We are not on a deadline, no looming crisis. We're here because Donald Trump wants a 4th of July party to celebrate this garbage bill. He wants fireworks and flags and cameras, not for this country, but for himself. So he says, close your ears, close your eyes, and vote for this bill. Honestly, sounds more like a cult than a Congress to me. Some Republicans promised their voters no cuts to Medicaid, no new debt. Now they're flipping faster than pancakes at a campaign breakfast. The House passed it, hoping the Senate would kill it. The Senate passed it, hoping the House would grow a spine. Everyone is playing a game of legislative chicken, voting for a bad bill and thinking the other chamber will be the one to fix it. This is nuts. And Trump says, have fun and vote yay. Have fun gutting Medicaid? Vote yay on taking away food from poor families? Are you serious? This bill is catastrophic. It is not policy, it is punishment. Let's talk facts. It slashes Medicaid, cuts Medicare, dismantles the ACA. It shutters rural hospitals, closes nursing homes, wipes out health centers. It takes food off kitchen tables, throws clean energy workers out of jobs, spikes utility bills. And why? So billionaires and oil companies can cash in. Big oil gets handouts, billionaires get tax breaks, working families get scraps, if that. Jeff Bezos just had a $50 million wedding in Venice, and they want to give him another tax break. Meanwhile, families making under $50,000 a year, well, they get less than $1 a day in tax cuts. You can't even buy a cup of coffee with that. And the cost, over $3 trillion added to the debt and a $5 trillion debt ceiling raise. Brought to you by the very people who won't shut up about so-called fiscal responsibility. This isn't tax reform to relieve the middle and working class. It is a robbery that will result in the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich our country has ever seen. So let's not lie to the American people. This is about taking from the most vulnerable to pay off the already powerful. It is about pleasing one man who's holding this Congress hostage with primary threats and social media tantrums. This bill is cruel, it is cowardly, it is a betrayal of everything this country is supposed to stand for. I reserve my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Langworthy.
Gentleman's recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I rise today in strong support of the rule to consider H.R. 1, the one big, beautiful bill, because the stakes for the American people could not be higher. We are rapidly approaching a fiscal cliff. If we do nothing, the Trump tax cuts, the most pro-growth tax reforms in generations, will expire. That means higher taxes on nearly every American. That means a gutted child tax credit. That means small businesses losing the tools they need to survive and to thrive. That means less take-home pay for working families already that have been crushed by the Biden-era inflation. This isn't some hypothetical scenario. This is the Democrats' game plan. They want to raise taxes. They want to punish success. They want more people dependent on government and fewer people building independent lives. And Republicans will not let that happen. With H.R. 1, we're stepping to lock in the Trump tax cuts permanently and to provide targeted new relief to the workers and to the families who keep this country running. Seniors, tipped workers, and those putting in overtime to get ahead. But, Mr. Speaker, this bill also takes a critical step to protect and to strengthen Medicaid, a vital program for millions of Americans. And let me be very clear about something, that this isn't anything radical. We're restoring the same common sense work requirements that President Bill Clinton signed into law into the 90s, one of the most popular things he did. And back then, a Democratic president worked with a Republican Congress to say that if you're able-bodied and adult without dependents and you're receiving government assistance, you should be expected to work, train, or volunteer and participate in the economy. And ladies and gentlemen, it worked. Poverty dropped, employment rose, and millions of Americans moved from welfare to work and independence. But Democrats today have abandoned that model. They want permanent government dependency. They'll oppose any form of accountability, and they'll vilify anyone who dares to suggest that opportunity should come with responsibility. Well, Republicans are standing up for what works and what's right, and we're saying Medicaid must remain a lifeline for the truly vulnerable, children, seniors, the people with disabilities, and low-income parents. But for able-bodied adults without kids, yes, you should try to work, just like in the 90s, just like under President Bill Clinton. This isn't extreme. It's not partisan. It's proven policy that respects both taxpayers and lifts people up. Mr. Speaker, this bill delivers economic relief, fiscal sanity, and basic fairness, and it secures the future of our economy and our safety net. Let's choose the path that's been tested and proven to work. Let's approve this rule. Let's pass one big, beautiful bill, and let's get this country back on track. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I want to alert all members to something about this rule. It has a mistake in it. Republicans have rushed this process from the very beginning to meet Trump's artificial July 4th deadline, and this rule is no exception. We found an error in the rule at 2 a.m. this morning, after the Rules Committee reported the rule. This is going to sound a little in the weeds, but they forgot to do something called considering the previous question as ordered on their big, ugly bill. Now, let me put that in English. What that means is they won't have an escape hatch once they start debate on this bill. So if they started and they realize they don't have the votes, they still have to take the embarrassing vote. There are also other consequences, but this Speaker's timeout authority is the one Republican leadership is most afraid of. Now, I expect they'll try to fix this with an amendment, but I have a question for members. If this Republican leadership cannot get a one-paragraph rule right, can we really trust them to get a 870-page bill right? Not only are we going to find things that were snuck into this bill, we're going to find massive mistakes that have unintended consequences for people and industries across this country. This whole process has been lousy, and this rule is no exception, and I reserve.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to address the American citizens for just a couple of minutes. I know many of you are concerned about some of the language in the bill, and I think maybe the reason you're concerned is because the people that are telling you what's in the bill never bothered to read the bill. So I thought I would just read to you the part, if you've read this, then you're lying to the general public. Exceptions, and this is on the snap, exceptions, paragraph 2, shall not apply to an individual if the individual is under 18 or over 65 years of age. Medically certified as physically or mentally unfit for employment, a parent or other member of a household with responsibility for a dependent child under 14 years of age. So when the Democrats are telling you that we're kicking disabled people off of SNAP or we're kicking disabled people off of Medicaid, it is an absolute lie. Page 16, page 17 of the legislation. It will take about 60 seconds to read it. That's exactly what it says. Thank you, and I yield the remainder of my time to the gentlelady from North Carolina.
Gentlewoman reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of low energy on that side, but I now want to yield to 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished ranking member of the House Committee on House Administration, Mr. Morelli.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you to my good friend, the gentleman from Massachusetts, the ranking member of the Rules Committee for yielding. Mr. Speaker, as we reach the apparent conclusion of this absurd exercise, it's worth asking, what's the purpose of this bill? This bill that will strip away health insurance from nearly 17 million people, devastating communities like mine in Rochester, New York. This bill that will recklessly eliminate food assistance for nearly 3 million Americans, including nearly 1 million senior citizens. This bill that explodes the deficit by $3.3 trillion. But for what? Well, Mr. Speaker, sometimes the simplest explanation is closest to the truth. We all saw the gaggle of billionaires sitting behind Donald Trump on Inauguration Day earlier this year. The driving force behind this entire legislative effort has been to grant handouts to those same billionaires and special interests, all at the expense of hardworking families. Mr. Speaker, I hope my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will stop and think again before voting for the worst piece of legislation in generations. But I know one thing for certain. House Democrats will never stop fighting for American families. With that, I yield back.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the distinguished gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. McDowell.
Gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Speaker, today we take another big step towards delivering a course correction for our country. The American people sent us here with a mandate to fight back and deliver on a promise. That is what the One Big Beautiful Bill is. Americans should first know what my colleagues in opposition to this legislation are voting for and what they are voting against. Not passing this bill means a $1,700 increase in taxes for the average American family of four. Mr. Speaker, that might not be a big deal to the elites in Manhattan or San Francisco, but it does mean a lot to the people of my district in North Carolina. Not passing this bill means our Border Patrol officers and our Coast Guard won't have what they need to secure the border and stop the flow of deadly fentanyl. It doesn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. Opposing this bill also means protecting waste over purpose, fraud over fairness, and foreign interests over American strength. Mr. Speaker, I want to make sure voters in my district know what passing the One Big Beautiful Bill will mean for them. It means you get to keep more of your hard-earned money. It means that small businesses can spend more money on your employees instead of sending it to Washington. This bill will make our communities safer by making a historic investment in our border security. No more dangerous, illegal aliens parading around with no consequences. Mr. Speaker, this legislation is one of the most consequential items we will vote on. It is President Trump's agenda, and it is what we all told the people back home we would do. Now, the House must get it done, and I urge all of my colleagues to vote in favor of this rule. Let's choose our country over comfort and get the big, beautiful bill to the President's desk. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman is from North Carolina. I know a senator from North Carolina who disagrees with everything he just said, and including a lot of hospitals in North Carolina that disagree with what he just said. I now yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Maryland, the distinguished ranking member of the Committee on the Judiciary, Mr. Raskin.
Recognized for 1 minute.
I thank the gentleman. Mr. Speaker, I found the preamble to this big, ugly bill. We, the billionaires, and our king, in order to deform and sicken our union, establish injustice, ensure domestic servility, weaken our people's defenses, undermine the general welfare, and reserve to ourselves and our posterity staggering debt servitude for eternity, do hereby instruct the Republicans in Congress to strip 17 million people of their health care, increase co-pays, deductibles, and premiums for everyone else, cut 42 million people off of nutritional assistance, increase the national debt by $4 trillion, trash renewable energy systems, increase our electric bills for the carbon kings, all to weaken and destroy the Constitution of the people of these United States of America. Please include this preamble in the legislative record. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
I reserve, Mr. Speaker.
Gentlewoman reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from California, the distinguished ranking member of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, Mr. Garcia.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, my Democratic colleagues and I believe in a country where we take care of our fellow Americans and the wealthiest pay their fair share. But Republicans are fighting for the biggest ripoff in American history and the biggest attack on our social safety net in decades. If this bill passes, 16 million people are going to lose their health insurance. They will take away basic food assistance from millions of veterans, seniors, and kids. Because of this bill, the poorest 10% of Americans are going to lose $1,600 per person on average, while the richer only get richer. It's a transfer from the poor and the middle class to the wealthiest. And it does all of this while increasing debt over $3 trillion. What happened to fiscal responsibility? That means that our grandkids will fund a tax cut for Elon Musk. Now, while I'm proud that we are defeating a number of extremely concerning provisions in this House bill, this is our last chance to stand up for our values. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this big BS bill. The American people are watching, and I yield back.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Herodopoulos.
Gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Promises made, promises kept. Voters wanted change for one simple reason. It was too expensive to live in America the last 4 years. Gas prices, rent prices, food prices up radically. So this bill is designed to help those very people hurt the last 4 years. People who earned tips, who earned overtime. People who earned Social Security get the big tax cut. And let's be clear here so the American public hears it loud and clear. The current tax rate on the wealthiest Americans is 37%. Under this bill, it remains at 37%. And at the same time, we're protecting the most vulnerable. Please read the bill. You'll see that seniors in nursing homes, unaffected. You will see that persons who are disabled, unaffected. Pregnant women on Medicaid, unaffected. And low-income kids, because their parents aren't making much, unaffected. Isn't it nice to see that Washington actually keeps its promises from the campaign trail? This is a welcome change just because Donald Trump said we're going to bring America back by putting more money back in their pockets instead of sending it up here to Washington, D.C. And he promised a secure border, 99% reduction in the number of people coming across the border illegally. That is action. And what are we putting in this bill? The money needed to make sure it stays that way. I'm proud to support this bill because I went to Washington for one reason. Make promises, keep promises, and prove that the Republicans can lead and are willing to make sure that the great American comeback continues. And with that...
Hey everybody, Kara Castronova here at the White House today on Wednesday. Everybody's waiting to see if the big, beautiful bill will get passed through the House. And from the looks of it, President Trump is in the Oval Office right now because generally when he's in there, there is a Marine that stands at the door right to the left of me. So President Trump more than likely on the phone with various members of Congress, encouraging them to get this bill on his desk and signed before July 4th. That was his self-imposed goal, and it looks like we're heading in that direction. In the meantime, Mike Lindell is here at the White House. He's inside right now meeting with some people. Hopefully, we could get an interview with Mike on the way out. He's here for the next 2 days, I believe, meeting with the president tomorrow. So that's great news, obviously. Election integrity is the most important thing to democracy and specifically to a constitutional republic in which we reside. And, a lot of upsetting things happening still with elections. They insist on these ridiculous machines that could be so tampered with, as we all know. And ranked choice voting. Interestingly, a lot of people have criticism of ranked choice voting because the thing with ranked choice voting is the general population has no idea how it works. It's very difficult to understand. So when you have a population that's confused on how their own voting system works, that's a problem because there's no check and balance. The general population will not be able to call out anything that is shady, for lack of a better word, because they just simply don't understand how it works. So, ranked choice voting, something that has come under fire, and a lot of people believe we need to get rid of it. The states, and I believe Alaska was using ranked choice voting. I think Arkansas is now saying that they want to not use paper ballots, which is very surprising because Huckabee Sanders is the governor there. So we are going to interview some very interesting people from from Arkansas later in the day that have accompanied Mike Lindell here that are really advocating for paper ballots in the state of Arkansas. We got a really great opportunity earlier today to interview Tom Homan, the border czar. So many great things going on at the border. Like, for example, nobody's crossing it. Who could have imagined that this would happen after what Joe Biden did when it comes to the border, letting all of those people in, all of those potential Democrat voters, more than likely what they're, I guess that's what they wanted. And it doesn't make sense why they would let all of these people in. It just doesn't. It's not popular with voters. So I think that what the Biden administration's game plan was a long-term game plan, which was to let in a lot of illegal aliens, hoping that they would vote Democrat in the future, and they could continue, I guess, to do everything that they do when it comes to districting and the electoral college and how many votes go to each state. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thankfully, is proposing a bill that will recount the population. So that some of these illegal aliens that are being counted in the population will hopefully be removed from, the census, I guess the census count, because that is what a lot is based on, such as how many votes go into the electoral college, such as the seats in the House of Representatives. So very interesting, and we'll see if this bill passes. But in the meantime, I wanted to share my interview that I got with Tom Homan just a little while ago here at the White House, speaking about the success that this administration has at the border, speaking about the children who were trafficked over the border, as well as alligator Alcatraz. So please take a watch to my interview with border czar Tom Homan. Here with Tom Homan at the White House. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. First of all, everybody's talking about alligator Alcatraz, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were.
Great facility. We need the beds. I mean, this morning I looked up and we have less than 1,000 beds available, and we need beds quickly. And that's why the big, beautiful bill needs to be passed. That's going to give us money for more beds. So I think Governor DeSantis is coming to the table, putting beds on our plate really quick. We'll fill those beds quickly. It's a great facility. And what's great about the facility, it has an airstrip right there. So we're going to save money in transportation contracts. That can serve as a hub for the entire East Coast. Rather than flying people to Arizona or Texas to be deported, we can actually use Florida now, landing strip there. So it's going to, not only is the facility cost savings for us for detention, it's a cost savings for transportation. Plus, it's a great site. It was already had a lot of concrete foundation there, didn't need a lot of building. And as far as people arguing that, shame must be in the Everglades, that facility's been there for decades. We're just simply housing there. So it's a great benefit for the Trump administration, a great benefit for the safety and security of America, because we're going to put the worst of the worst there and deport them from there.
And what about numbers right now? Everybody's saying there's 0 crossings. Is that true? And can you tell us a little bit more of the statistics of the border?
Yeah, the numbers came out yesterday for the month of June. There's a total of 6,070 encounters on the border. Now, that's in a month. Under Joe Biden, we had up to 15,000 a day. So we arrested a month. Well, he arrested in half a day, right? So border numbers are down right now 94%. Gotaways are down 96%. We used to deal with 1,800 gotaways on a daily basis under Joe Biden by average. Yesterday they were 18. The releases last month under Joe Biden, since he's been president, President Trump's been in office. If you compare it to last year, the Biden administration released over 200,000 illegal aliens. We released one for humanitarian concerns. So that was an independent decision. Now, there was 4 others released, but they were material witnesses that we wanted released because they're going to testify in a criminal trial against the cartel. One discretionary release in 6 months compared to over 200,000 Joe Biden. The border is the most secure border in the history of this nation because of President Trump.
Any updates on everything going on with the children that were smuggled over the border? I know that you were talking a lot about that last week.
Yeah, we found over 10,000 so far. We got a lot more work to do. Many of these children were with family and safe. They just didn't respond to call-ins because they simply don't want to be deported. But we have rescued some in sex trafficking. We rescued some in forced labor. I mean, I looked at a case the other day where one adult male sponsored 20 children. Now, how did that happen? So what happened to the vetting that Joe Biden said was happening with HHS? It wasn't happening. They weren't vetting these sponsors properly. When one single male, adult male, can get 20 children, that's a broken system. And they knew about it, they didn't fix it.
Do you believe that one of the reasons that the Democrats really want the illegals to come in is so that they can rig elections? Or I don't want to put words in your mouth, that's my opinion.
Look, I said from day one, why was somebody unsecure the most secure border in the history of this nation on purpose, right? So they obviously saw future political benefit. I can't think of any other reason other than they saw future political benefit. Is it because they thought they were future Democratic voters? But remember, when Joe Biden wrote 90 executive orders overturning everything Trump did and we did to secure the border, he also overturned the Trump census rule. So they were counting on millions of illegal aliens released to sanctuary cities, counted the next census, which is going to result in more seats in the House for the Dems. I truly believe they were playing the long game, and they saw future political benefit from doing this. Because if you ask any Democrat on the Hill one simple question, they can't answer it. What is the downside on a secure border? What's the downside in less sex trafficking? What's the downside in less drugs? What's the downside on less known suspected terrorists coming across the border? There's no downside in a secure border. Secure border saves lives. Right now, with immigration down 94, 95, 96%, when 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being raped by the cartels? How many children aren't drowning in the river? How many Americans aren't dying from fentanyl overdoses? How many known suspected terrorists aren't getting into the country? Right. How many billions the cartels not making? Secure border saves lives. We got the most secure border in the history of the nation today because of President Trump.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and all the great work that you do at the border. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
So yeah, that was right behind me just a little while ago. Tom Homan, one of the more friendly people that I've met that works in the administration or in politics in general. He's very, very accessible. When he comes down and walks in the driveway behind me, it's generally easy to approach him and talk to him. He's really just a normal guy. So I really enjoyed that conversation with him. I've spoken to him off camera a number of other times. And like I said, he's very friendly, very sweet, very much like someone that would remind you of just your uncle, very unpretentious, if that's the right word. I also found actually Secretary McMahon. She's another one of my favorites here at the White House. I had met her early on, and I was very surprised by how friendly she was, how polite she was, how sweet she was, and really the eye contact. That's like a huge thing for me when people make eye contact with you, especially as a reporter. People have the wrong impression sometimes of, I guess, me, because I'm a journalist and nobody trusts the media, so they don't know where I'm from. I could be from ABC, NBC, Fox, or anywhere. And when you come up with the microphone to a lot of these administrators, of course, right away they're going to be suspicious because the mainstream media tries so hard to tear these people down here at the White House and anywhere, really. So, you're met with a lot of sort of defensive behavior, whether you're at Senate, whether you're at Congress, wherever you are in Washington, D.C., when you are a journalist, people don't know where you're from. And Secretary McMahon was very, very polite, and she made really nice eye contact. She was just so sweet. So that I wanted to put that out there. She's a very, very cool person, and so much news coming out really in favor of women's sports, something that is obviously important to Secretary McMahon, being that she is obviously the Secretary of Education, and we have to educate children to understand that there are two sexes, and obviously that men and women's sports is no longer acceptable in the United States. Very good news today. I mean, I'm literally over the moon about the news that Leah Thomas, the person, the individual who was swimming at the University of Pennsylvania, beating Riley Gaines, the greatest swimmer, destroying records that women fought so hard, with this person having like 8 feet long arms and legs and, other appendages on their body that are not really welcome in a female locker room or in a pool for that matter. Yeah, that person had a lot of their, from what I'm understanding, titles stripped. I have to fact check that, but I do know that they're taking away the records that this person set. Pretty much impossible records for any woman or female to ever beat. There will make it very difficult, I guess, unless that woman takes performance enhancing drugs, which, we don't want to risk our bodily health, obviously, to win championships as women. And thank God for the Trump administration. Thank God that they've come in and really put an end to this ridiculousness. It's absolutely ludicrous that we're having this conversation in 2025. I think the founding fathers and people, even like Democrats 20 years ago, 10 years ago, would be rolling over in their graves. And I'm sure the hypocrites, maybe let's just pull a name out of a hat, Barack Obama. If his 2 daughters had to fist fight in a boxing match, a man, a naturally born man, or swim and race, and these girls, let's just say they were swimming since they were 5 years old and they dedicated their whole life to swimming, and their social life, because that's what it takes to be a top athlete. You basically have no life. You live the life of a nun, basically. And then they had to race against a man, a biological man. I don't think Obama would be for that. I don't think the Clintons would be for that. They are self-preserving, selfish people. When it comes to their family, they don't want that. Yet they, shoved it down the throats of the American people. My take on Joe Biden when it comes to the transgender agenda and having those nude transgender people on the White House lawn during the Easter ceremony, and everything that he did really to embarrass himself here at the White House. Now that all of this information is coming out about the auto pen, president, Joe Biden, we broke that story at Lindell TV, by the way, for any of you who are watching, and other entities decided to steal the story and make it their own when we broke it here at Lindell TV. We are obviously behind the 8 ball. We are the first to report these things. Then mainstream media comes along and pretends that they knew all along. They didn't. I asked that question first in the briefing room about auto pen, and Caroline Levitt, answered my question, and I believe President Trump saw it because he started speaking about auto pen a lot. And obviously Emerald Robinson was reporting on this. So Mike Lindell is here, and we're so excited to have Mike here. Mike, how was your meeting? Do you want to sit down?
Yeah, it was really awesome. I can't say a lot about it though, but it was probably it wasn't with the president today, but I am on a scale of 1 to 100, 99.
99?
I mean, 99, and there was 4 different issues. So I got to meet the right people, and this is really, really good. And I will, after tomorrow, should be able to report on tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so we can't, and it's secretive right now, but it's okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
Highly classified information.
Yeah, very excited. They met with 4 different people in different departments, and it's just really exciting for, I couldn't ask for, if I was like going, okay, I hope this part works and this one, all of them, across the board. So I'm very excited. I think I'm going to live here. No.
You got to move here. We got to get you in the briefing room and asking a question about election integrity.
Yeah, and that, obviously I could say one of them was definitely with the elections. Obviously, that's my biggest concern is our election platform.
You know Mr. Gorka? Hi, Mr. Gorka.
There he is. Oh, here, come on.
You want to come over? Come on. We're huge fans of you. We run in the great Sebastian Gorka over here, doing such great job on everything he's doing.
Hold on, selfie. Hold on, we got to do a selfie.
He's doing a selfie. Do you all know Sebastian Gorka?
He would save me. He would come and save me. They'd see him come in.
Surrounded by people.
And then I would get. Here we come, Sebastian. Here we go.
God bless you, Mike.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, this guy's done more to help the country than we could by accident.
No, thanks to you. Thanks to you. Thanks for having the president's back. God bless you, Mike.
You too. Thank
See you later, sir.
you.
So, being here at the White House, you run into all these great individuals like Sebastian Gorka, who's doing great work with the administration. And, obviously everyone likes Mike Lindell, loves Mike Lindell.
Yeah, he had his podcast. I used to host his podcast when he'd take off. It was my first, and I was scared to death. He did like a 3-hour podcast, and I had all these guests on. I didn't know I was doing it, but he trusted me to do it, and I just kept selling pillows. By the way, everybody, promo code DC. Go to mypillow.com. Promo code DC. We're having the 4th of July special. Everything's 50% off or more. Most of the products are. You guys, I even have my crosses that I wear. You've seen the crosses.
My cross. I need to get one of those too.
Yeah, my cross. We have the men and women's, and they're over 50% off. So you guys will love them. But yeah, I'm really excited, as you can tell. I went down this, but when we talk about our elections, there's nothing more important than our elections right now. And you guys, I want to tell you something. When you go up to, let's just talk about New York. Everyone's worried about that New York mayor that got in, that Democrat. And
let's get the White House behind you, Mike.
Yeah. Here, okay.
Because we are here at the White House. It's a special day. Mike Lindell here at the White House.
Right on. But anyway, let's just talk about that mayor up there, that Democrat that got in. You guys, that's ranked choice voting plus computers. Come on, ranked choice voting and computers. It's like if you have one or the other, it doesn't matter. You're stealing elections. That's what they're built for, both of them. And I spent a lot of time up in Alaska back when Sarah Palin got her race stolen from her with ranked choice voting. It's a joke. I don't even if you had paper ballots, hand counted, and ranked choice voting, it's still so scrambled. It's ridiculous. That should be outlawed too. And I bet you there's not too many countries that use that. Remember, everybody, 132 countries have banned electronic voting machines. But one of the main reasons I can tell you this, that I am here, it's very critical that we get to paper ballots hand counted by the primaries for these midterms. We can't let this next 4 years be in vain and just as a blip in history. It can't just be this is a great time in history where everybody's lives improve. It's going to be awesome. And then it'll all go away with a blink of an eye, because look what happened in the 2020 election, which everybody knows was sold. And if I would have been their marketer, I want to tell everybody this: if I'd have been the marketer for evil, when they stole that, when I say, well, who stole the election? The Uniparty, the CCP, the Deep State, and the globalists. If I'd have been their marketers on the day of back in 21, on the first day they were in, I would have said, you guys, don't do any. They're onto us. They're going to want to get rid of our voting machines. They're onto us. Our tools to steal elections. But let's not do anything stupid. And let's let them think that socialism is just great, having a cup of coffee with your neighbor or something, right? But they didn't do that. They said, you know what? Let's just go for the vote. Let's just destroy the country. First thing they did was open up the borders and shut down the pipeline. 50,000 people lost their jobs. Gas went through the roof. It destroyed our economy. They let all the illegals in, and they let the fentanyl in, started to kill everybody, and that's it. They hit the ground running, because why? They never thought that there was actually, in a way, doing a weird good, because it opened people's eyes to common sense. There's only two parties left, everybody. The party of common sense, our great president, my great friend Donald Trump, and the Uniparty. And when I say the Uniparty, you got it destroyed over here. Where's Mike? What is the Uniparty? The Uniparty is every single people. When we have people on the ground trying to get to paper ballots hand counted, and you get pushback in all these red states. You guys know who I call Uniparty Republican, but there's Uniparty Democrats. This is that Uniparty deep state, CCP globalists. That's what's there. You're hearing, these far left. That's just their tool. These far left, we were talking. I think we're probably, when they say 80-20, I'm going to go as far as say we're an 80-20 country when it's when we talk about common sense, that people just want to live good lives and stuff, not these extreme 20%, which the media grabs onto. Right. You know what I mean? But And like right now, we were talking about that. I was talking about someone in there about the big great case we just won in Colorado. In Colorado, my pillow was totally vindicated. But the media didn't tell you that, and they found no malicious statements by me. And they said, of course I believe what I say. Did I call a few people a few things? Yeah, but I believe it. See, I'm trying not to get you in trouble, Kara.
Lawfare.
Yeah, well, lawfare. And you guys, a president said it in, I forget who it was, in the late 1800s, said right now there's no difference, or there's only two people, there's patriots and there's traitors. Well, if you remember what I said for the last 4 years, you got heroes and traitors, there's no in between, I mean, that's where we're at, and because we got to save our country.
We do, and you have some friends here today, and they're talking about paper ballots. I am interested to interview them as well later today regarding Sarah Huckabee Sanders is not on board for paper ballots, from what I'm understanding, in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of things down in Arkansas. I know a few years ago, Cleburne County, Arkansas, voted to go to paper ballots, and this guy named Kim Hammers there, this guy, he's a senator. They shoved a bill through, and it says if you're a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots, we're defunding your county. You can't make this up. So of course, Cleburne County went, "Oh, we're sorry. Well, we love our machines." No, you don't. You got a gun to your head. And every other county in Arkansas is afraid now to make a move. And I don't know the details, but there's stuff going on right now. And the great Colonel Conrad, have you interviewed him yet?
No, I'm going to later. He's over there.
Yeah, there he is, right over there, resting. He's getting up for resting for his big interview. But he'll give you the details. But this is stuff that goes, everyone's going, why would these be going on in red states with this great governor? And look at South Dakota. I mean, South Dakota, you would think, of course, this is back when the governor Nomes was there, that we would go plow through there and get rid of the machine, go to paper ballots, and with all the corruption that went on there, and no, we were blocked. We couldn't even get cast vote records in South Dakota. So it's not just blue states, that are blocking. In fact, we've actually made as much progress in blue states probably as red states, and it's disgusting. That's the uniparty. Why does everyone? You know what I said to the media in Colorado? I was just talking about that inside to one of the lawyers. I'm going, in Colorado, you guys, the judge would not let Lindell TV, and you know that, Kara, right? The judge would not let Lindell TV.
It was crazy.
I could not talk. I couldn't talk on my own station. They didn't want Lindell TV reporting anything. You guys couldn't even report or say something nasty about the machine companies, which we can now. Melt them down, turn them into prison bars. But I couldn't say anything. Well, the jury, in case the jury's seen it. Well, but the jury got to see the bad media every day attacking me. And then they put out, Mike even used promo code jury. He was selling pillows. Well, hello, and what do you want me to do? Shut down my pillow while they're on trial? If my employees, we're scared enough as they're getting sued, and the company. But the point being is the media there, all attacking. We couldn't talk. This was a big First Amendment right. Your First Amendment right. I get served papers against my company on the steps of the Colorado State Capitol, and I can't call them and their lawyers the biggest criminal crime family that ever lived.
Right.
I can't do that. Since when? I call them, and then all the media was there. I call them names all the time. It doesn't bother them. They attack me every day. Where's your First Amendment right of free speech?
Yeah, it's obviously not applicable in a court of law. Bizarrely, it's kind of unusual.
Yeah, it is. But and we're gonna, everybody, we're gonna appeal. It says, well, Mike, you stole money. No, that's appeal. You got to realize how these court things work. One thing, there was no damages, so hopefully it should just go away. But it was a huge win. They tried to cover up the win. You imagine if my pillow would have been found guilty of defamation because they sell product on a thing where somebody said something wrong. You wouldn't have advertisers on any one of these. All this fake media that's here, they wouldn't have any advertisers. Everybody would be out of jobs. Everybody would be out of jobs if we wouldn't have won that case in Colorado, because everyone would be afraid that they certainly would go on stations where any of these guys say the stupid things they do. All these stations on, look at CNN, all these stations. How close are we to those guys?
CNN is a couple tenths down, and they're under fire right now because of that app that they're promoting.
They're doing an app to find out where ICE is. That's crazy. You know what? Well, obviously they'd probably still have their crazy advertisers, I guess, right?
They're aiding and abetting, possibly aiding and abetting. People are saying, domestic terrorism.
Yeah, it is. It's and they should be shut down. For what they're doing. That's just insane. That's absolutely insane. It's just like when common sense, you throw it out the window. You've got all the, especially like with the illegals. I mean, you have Obama, Clinton's. You have every one of them saying we got to get rid of. We got to build it. Stop them from coming into our country. We deport them, and everybody said the same thing. It's almost like let's just keep attacking on issues and try and wait this 4 years out. And that's what they're doing. And it's disgusting. And all these wins that people sit back and say, gee, where were you just a half a year ago? The biggest thing now is, the price of stuff is coming down. I said the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to bring down the price of gas and bring down the price of gas, which brings down shipping costs, which brings down product costs. Everything is shipped, you guys. Everything is shipped. And speaking of shipping, I'm going to do something right now. Okay, if you order right now from My Pillow, okay, using the promo code DC, I'm going to do shipping free on your entire order. Entire order will ship for free. Besides this 50% off or more sale, your entire order will ship for free with promo code DC. Okay, I just made that up just now.
No, that's a great promo, and I hope a lot of people take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Promo code DC. And or you can call in too. We have a number to call in, but you guys definitely take advantage of that. And I better get off here now and make sure I attach it to that promo code.
We have to wrap because Emerald Robinson's show is coming on next, and everybody loves Emerald. And she has a co-host today or a sub in, but we are looking forward to watching that and talking to you more later on today, Mike.
Yeah, we're going to give you updates on all the great things. I'm going to just find out what I can and can't say because I don't want to put it out there and then they block it from happening. All I can say is, let's see, I brought forth win, 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 win. 4 wins.
Yeah, always winning. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Emerald Robinson is coming up next. If you guys want to stick around after this commercial break with all the breaking news out of Washington, D.C. and everything that you want to hear, stay tuned for Emerald Robinson show after this.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%.
I was telling you, stand up.
Invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency.
Yeah, because I can't see anything, in fact, because Mike is here
right
light.
now, gold continues to soar.
I said, I don't know how to
highest numbers in
These gains are I can look in the frame.
It's okay.
Yeah, but you want to interview these guys first?
Yeah, but I have to just make sure I have everything set.
Okay, my question is now, are you going to do